get into the presentation. And let's go. All right, looks like my screen share is working. Today, we're talking about making technology stick. I like that phrase and making it sticky so that it persists and just kind of gets a life of its own. And today, we're going to be talking about that long-term planning and support that I think is absolutely critical to make any technology implementation successful. So a little bit about who am I and why I'm talking to you about today. I spent about 15 years in the world of education until just a few months ago. I started out as a special ed teacher. I was that for about 8 years, doing all sorts of different stuff in the special ed world, independent living skills and non-public schools. I worked all over the place doing that for a number of years. I did a lot with technology with those kids, lots of grant writing, lots of one-to-one, very early days of one-to-one with those students. And that led to me taking on a position at rather large district outside of Sacramento, California, where I taught as a technology coordinator. Did that for about 3 years. Then I decided to go back to the school sites because I miss those kids. I missed being there. And I took on a position of being a principal, kind of principal / director of technology for a charter school there. Did that for 4 years, had the wonderful privilege of doing all the principaling and all that during COVID and school shutdowns and reopening and communication. And during that time, I worked with a ton of different schools working on their one-to-one implementation technology engagement. I was very blessed at the school I was at. 100% of my staff were Google certified educators. We had a excellent one-to-one initiative going for several years pre-COVID. And we just were ready to go when that happened. We shut down on a Friday, March 3rd, March 13th, rather, Pi Day. And we started distance learning that Monday, and we kept going. And out of that, worked with a ton of different schools, kind of on planning and how do they create the right culture and get that one-to-one initiative going. Finished out my career in California as a director of technology for a small rural district in Galt, south of Sacramento, and really enjoyed that. But recently decided to move my family from California to Texas. And in that, I transitioned from working in the education space as a director and a principal. And now I get the privilege of supporting awesome schools all over the country. I get to talk to people every single day. I hear about the amazing stuff that they're doing. I'm just constantly learning and learning and learning through these awesome conversations. This presentation is my best take to take my experience and the literally hundreds of conversations I've been able to have with districts and synthesize it to like what are the needs to know to make sure that your technology initiative is really working the way you want it to be working. So that's great. Picture of a couple of my daughters. I have 3 kids, 2 daughters and a son, and wonderful wife who is a recent author for her first children's book that my middle daughter, Crimson, illustrated for. This is an old picture. So that's awesome. Very proud of my family. So if you want access to this presentation, you can find it by going to bit.ly/Trafera_TTPT. And that's going to be on every slide in the bottom left-hand corner as we go along as well. First, I want to start with the key question that should drive our technology initiatives. And really, our frame of thinking is your technology making the instructional impact you need it to? We've all spent a ridiculous amount of money sometimes on technology, millions and millions of dollars. sometimes. And I've seen districts who spend tens of millions of dollars sometimes on educational initiatives that just fall flat on their face. So you really want to drive that, because what we are doing is we're making an investment so that we can see instructional impact and gains for our students. So you have to go back to that question: is our technology making the instructional impact that we need it to? The second key question is, do I have a long-term I define as 3 to 5 years, realistic technology plan in place? If you are like me, when I was a technology director, I had those technology plans, sometimes that took a lot of time, effort, and energy, that were made for an E-rate project or something else, that would go into a drawer and never be looked at again. I have seen many of those other places, and that's okay, but we don't want to stay there. We want to have a roadmap for our future, and we want to kind of see what's on the horizon. So, and it's incredibly important for lots of different reasons that we'll get into. But do you have a long-term realistic technology plan in place? And I think what's key is, do other people know about it? That's the second piece that's key. Is it just in your head? Is it a document on your hard drive or on your Google Drive, or are people aware of the direction that you're headed? So we can kind of think of it, I like to kind of frame like going on a road trip. And maybe some of us can remember when we were kids, and we'd be going on road trips, and we'd have to have these big maps and track everything and figure out crossroads that we want to go on, and do this and that to figure out where we were and where we were going and how we're going to get there. But we've seen an advancement since those days to now. I hop in my Tesla, I say, hey, take me to the nearest Whataburger, and it takes me down the street to the nearest Whataburger. Or I could say, hey, take it to my brother's place or whatever else. And it has that immediate feedback. Not only does it tell me where I'm going, it gives me a route to get there, and then it gives me continuous feedback on where I am along that journey. And so to kind of help with that and kind of engage with that, there's something I've called the Trifera Technology Planning Toolkit. And it's a toolkit that's designed to kind of go into frameworks, and really it's just a conversation and thinking about our technology plan. The first things that we're going to start with is, what should we know for today? Where do we need to be at today in my existing technology? We need to know about device management, where my device is, warranty repair processes, and a roadmap or sequence that we're going to follow. We're going to go into more depth with each of these. When we're talking about device management, first of all, I need to know where everything is in the process. I need to know where every single device is, whose hands are they in, where is every device in the process. Are they shipped off for repair? Am I waiting for them to come back? Do I have Sally that's broken her Chromebook 7 times this year? Do I have data that I'm getting consistently that says where everything is and how it's being used? I would put things like filtering into this category as well. Do I know that the devices are being handled well in the classroom? Do I have a monitoring program? I can't tell you how many times it would come up. We had a Go Guardian at my school. I would use that constantly in discussions with parents about student activity at home, what they were doing away from school as well as in school. Do you have a classroom management tool within that, so that your teachers have the power to kind of control the devices? And again, I'm going to really pound on that data. Are you getting the data that you need? Usage data, breakage data, all that stuff that says where your devices are, what's needed, and how they're being used. The second is absolutely critical, and that's having a warranty and repair process. You really want to think about what percentage of your devices will need to be repaired every year. as we kind of can move forward, we can kind of see that that those devices are going to need a little bit more repair every year. So some districts I talked to, they might have a 7-year replacement plan for their devices, so they want to last. Can you really support that breakage rate, their support rate over that entire life cycle? Do you have a plan? You really want to have something that's designed to boost instructional uptime. Something I say constantly, and Kate wrote it there, is if you don't have a program, a one-to-one program, where every single device works 100% of the time, you don't have a one-to-one program. Tell you, nothing is more frustrating for a teacher than to get jacked up on an idea, go to a conference, read a book, take a class, go to their classroom, say, okay, everybody, take out your Chromebook. We're going to log in and do this thing on Kahoot or quizzes or whatever it is. And they do it, and 3 students raise their hand and say, oh, sorry, I don't have a Chromebook because I cracked my screen or something happened. I spilled the soda on it, and I don't know where it is. So you really want to make sure that you have a rock solid warranty repair process. I can tell you that for me, that is how I first got connected with Trafera, which used to be called Trinity 3, about 6 years ago. I had my plan. I knew what I needed. I needed a 4-year replacement cycle on my devices. I needed them to be covered 100%. And I didn't have the staffing or the capacity to worry about repairs and all that. And I went around, talked to a bunch of different companies, found Trinity 3 Trafera, and the rest is history. I'm incredibly happy with that performance, for that support for those 6 years, which ultimately has led to me working there. So you really want to identify, are you going to do that in-house, or you're going to partner with someone, and do what's your process, that sequence? Are people aware of what's happening? Does everyone know what to do when they crack a device or when they have a broken device? It is so incredibly important. I can tell you, I was walking on a campus not too long ago, and it's a fairly large district, about 35,000 students, and we were talking about their implementation. And we go to one of their sites. It's the end of the school year. In fact, summer had just started, so we're out there, and there's a school, and we're walking the school site, and they open up a closet, and that closet has over 250 broken Chromebooks that director of technology didn't even know about, because the principal didn't know what to do with the broken Chromebooks as they came in. So they just started tossing them in the closet. Every time a student came in with a broken Chromebook, tossed in the closet, tossed in the closet. No one knew that that's what was happening. No one knew that there was something else that they were supposed to be doing. And when they audited, they found that they had over 1 million Chromebooks that were broken in their district wide that they haven't accounted for. So again, it goes back to, are those devices making that, or excuse me, not $1 million, $1 million worth of Chromebooks that were broken and unaccounted for? And so we need to have that system in place and make sure it's actually being used. So it's great. So next, let's talk about roadmap. Do you have a timeline on your roadmap for your projects? And we talk a lot about one-to-one, but maybe you're looking at doing a big IFP installation project. Let's say you're getting a bunch of new line panels to replace your projectors in the classroom, and you're going touchscreen in the classroom, which is awesome. Do you have a timeline for that? Are you going to implement district-wide at once? Are you going to do sequence where it's like, okay, we're going to do 3rd, 4th, 5th grade in the summer, then we're going to do 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in the spring, then we're going to do high school in the summer, whatever it is. Do you have a sequence? Do you have a timeline that says, okay, so we're going to do this now and this later and this later? Something that can be really helpful with that is, even whether we're talking about the devices or anything else, having that roadmap really helps people's frustration. Again, if I'm a 5th grade teacher and I'm really looking forward to that new 86-inch awesome touchscreen TV that's going to come to my classroom, but it doesn't. But I look and I'm like, hey, third grade got their cool new TVs. Second grade got their cool new TVs. Where's my TV? If there's a roadmap that says, oh, I don't get my TV until November, I'm okay with that because I understand that there is a sequence and everything else. But to really kind of target and say, what does the next few years look like? What do I have coming up? What's my roadmap? What's my sequence is incredibly important. Along with that, what are your goals? Why are you implementing these things? How are you going to track that success? Do you have a quality pilot and review process? Again, if I'm looking at doing IFPs next year at my school, am I reviewing today? Am I contacting a company like Trifera and being like, hey, Trifera, I'm kind of evaluating between these devices. Can you send me a couple that I can test out and get feedback on? You want to be doing that now so that you can be prepared for that process. And as early as you can, it's really, really important to kind of get that. Yeah. So that really goes into those three elements: device management, warranty repair, roadmap. Those are all things that we need to have going on today. Okay. But now let's talk about the mission of Trifera. And this is why I work here as a company. I could have worked at other places, but I really believe and I'm proud of the work that we do, because the mission of Trifera is to enhance the integration and effectiveness of classroom technology. We don't just want there to be devices in the classroom. And that's kind of what we were talking about before this was, what's the baseline that you need? You kind of need to have those things just to have a program. So let's talk about how we can enhance that. And that's where we kind of get this holistic view of the entire classroom. So I've got my display in the front. I've got my dock cams and streaming tools. I've got student devices, teacher devices. I've got charging solutions. I've got all those different things. I like to say that as a company, we focus on anything that the teachers and the students are touching. What's happening instructionally in the classroom. And so you kind of want to make sure that those things interplay well, that you have a solution that's going to optimize that classroom setting. And every single, excuse me, every single new device is going to enhance that process. So we can see kind of different highlights that we want to do for those things. But we want to talk about that beautiful technology integration. And that's through three things that I like to talk to. Complete classroom technology solutions, holistic planning, and then the last, which I think is absolutely critical, is professional development. So first, we want to talk about the tech for today's classrooms. It is a dynamic thing, these classrooms. There's so much going on with the classroom. So you want to have kind of a coordinated conversation and a plan that says, how are these going to work? How is that going to enhance the classroom setting? How are we going to make sure that the teacher is equipped to control the devices or to gain their attention so that it's not a distraction, but an added benefit? What are the different software solutions or anything else that they might need to kind of help with that process? That's going to be your interactive displays, your audio solutions, any of your hybrid classroom tools that you may have. You want to gauge your technology effectiveness through your accessories, your cases, all of that. And then you want to kind of think, okay, what do I want to do for the future? And enhancing that process with things like STEAM and esports. One of the things I've been talking with tons of districts about are there's tons of excitement around esports, but how can they support that? Well, what some places are doing are combining their esports with a STEAM program or a CTE pathway, or maybe they need a high-end device for photography or video or 3D rendering or something like that, that they can also use for esports. So kind of having those conversations and thinking around those things can kind of give you that opportunity to really enhance the educational experience. The next I really want to talk about is holistic planning, kind of And by holistic plan, I mean really kind of looking at the whole system as a whole. Now, part of that is budgetary cycles and replacement cycles and long-term planning. The reality of technology is it doesn't last forever. Now, tons of us got a ton of technology a few years ago when COVID set in. Maybe that technology is 2 or 3 years old now. Now, if you don't necessarily have a plan for replacement, you could run into a situation like this, where back in 2020, let's say you spent $1 million on technology to buy devices, and you haven't spent very much since then. Well, those devices only have about a 4-year shelf life. So one of the things that can happen is, okay, 2024 is coming up. Those devices are about 4 years old. Now we need to find another million. Then we have to wait till 2028 and find another million. That to me is incredibly stressful. It's not only stressful to you, it's stressful for the entire system. You can look at your teachers and everybody else that maybe there's not going to be that commitment that kind of looks at that across the years. Instead, my encouragement is, why don't we take that $1 million a year, do an annual rate, $250,000 a year, and just make it flat? What we did at my high school is every 9th grader got a Chromebook. They held onto that Chromebook till the end of their 12th grade. At the end of 12th grade, they could buy that Chromebook and leave with it for college. It worked great. In middle school, every 6th grader got a Chromebook. They got to buy it and take it with them at the end of 8th grade. What that does is it creates a cycle that's incredibly stable and consistent. Everybody knows what the expectation is. Everybody knows that there's a commitment year over year over year over year for that. A special bond doesn't have to be passed. A special referendum doesn't have to be passed. There's stability. And through stability, you can get excitement, you can gain momentum. So I could not encourage you more that really kind of doing everything you can to go from those spikes to kind of flatlining that out. It's going to make an incredible difference for you. So do you have an ongoing budget for replacement? Are you planning on doing large scale replacement or smaller annual cycles? Do you have it connected in your LCAP? Do you have dedicated Title I or Title III funds? How are you paying for the devices? What are those going to do for you? And then do you have a partnership that you want to use over and over again, or go out to bid constantly? I'll tell you, I can be a little lazy sometimes. I didn't want to go out to bid. I wanted to find a partnership I could trust, would help me build the best possible solution and never have to talk to anybody again. That's what I did with Trafera, stuck with it the entire time I was in those positions and loved it. The deep relationships you can build. I always knew my devices were going to be ready on time. There was a cycle that we had. It was great. And having those partnerships can just be incredibly helpful. Now, we can have the best implementation. We can have the best partnerships, and we can have the best warranty and repair process with all these things. I'm seeing some amazing things in the chat about what you guys are doing. But sometimes there's a missing piece. And that missing piece goes into our implementation. And again, I'm going to always go back to, are we making the impact in the classroom that we want? And that can often be professional development. And those professional development pieces are incredibly important. Like I said, 100% of my staff was, except for our custodians, they were not, but those were the only ones, secretaries, aides, everyone else was a Google certified educator at my school. That made COVID, it was hard, but my gosh, did it make it a lot easier to make sure that everyone had a high enough proficiency. And I used to tell my teachers all the time, I wanted them to be incredibly proficient at the engagement and use of technology, not so that they used it all the time, but they knew when they used it, they could use it effectively and immediately. And I think that that's really, really important. And so we have an incredible, if you are at a place where you are struggled with professional development, where there's implementation gaps that you have, I could not recommend more to connect with us. Talk to your rep about our professional development solutions. We have an incredible team of Google certified professional development people. We have, I believe it's 10 now, 10 former educators with masters of education that are all being involved to make professional development. We have, I think it's over 170 years of combined experience on the PD front. And we offer tons of options and flexibility, on-site PD, virtual PD. We even have a Trafera University online with tons of courses that have been built. And it's really kind of built out for schools. I'll tell you, one of the big gaps I have seen over and over and over again are, do we have principal coaching and admin coaching with that? We've done a lot of teacher coaching, but have we really partnered with places that can help us train our principals on how to lead those schools with technology development? And I'm proud to say that I get the opportunity to do that professional development here with Trafera, with partner schools all over. I also teach at a local, or I'm a guest lecturer now at a local PhD program for educational leadership on technology implementation. And it really kind of drives that conversation of like, okay, well, how can we get to make those educational impacts that we need to? I know for me, technology was just critical to the success that we had. So how can we really move forward in that? So really make sure that you're targeting the right groups, that you have a partner, talk to your rep, let's get going. If you need help with that, we'd love to help you. I've got a video. I usually don't show it, but I think I will today because I like it.
Pat, you're not sharing the sound. Pat, I think you need to share your sound. Still nothing.
We wanted to be on. The STEAM projects start.
There it is, Scott. Could you start over?
Sorry about that sound issue, guys. My mistake, and then I couldn't hear people commenting. Oh, man, just the worst. All right, here we go.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh Ratliff. I'm Director of Education Initiatives at Trafera. And what I love most about being here is we don't measure success by how many devices we sell to schools, but by how those devices are used to transform the learning experience. And there's no better example of that than what we're doing here at Pickens County today.
Professional learning, especially in this day and age, is very important because we have our teachers receiving all kinds of new resources and new technology, and without professional learning, they're not able to utilize those effectively in the classroom. A couple of years ago, our Gifted and Talented program here in the school district of Pickens County started to take a different turn. We really wanted to take our students and our teachers down the path of project-based learning that was really student-centered and student-driven.
And so this partnership with Trifera has been, I would say, instrumental in helping us develop that and get our teachers and staff on the journey that we wanted to be on.
The STEAM projects started, again, one of those things with just talking with the Trifera people. We told them the need that we had in working with our gifted and talented classes. They started thinking about it on their end, and the next thing we know, they've developed a book and lessons and an idea. They were able to provide us the professional learning, and then our teachers took it and ran with it.
A STEAM stop is an area in the community that encourages visitors to stop, think, wonder, hypothesize, and experiment.
We learned like different ways to get on different things that you wouldn't really get on. Like usually when you think floor is lava, you just climb onto a ladder or something like that. But in STEM, we tried to make a different way to do it.
We did it mostly about bridges. What different ways could you get from different levels and floors of the playground with using bridges and what could be considered a bridge?
I usually just think of STEM as engineering, but I saw many other ways you could use STEM, like how you could use math by like calculating the height of things and all that kind of stuff.
My favorite part was studying the Ravenel Bridge.
I loved how everyone came up with so many different ideas and how we like just put them all together and it just like made this amazing thing.
The goals in creating these STEAM stops are promoting engagement and pride in product, impacting the environment, and really fostering a community-wide love of learning.
I think another part that was powerful for our teachers was that Josh and Anna came and spent time in their classrooms with their students along the way. That was important because it allowed the teachers to just see and hear what that good interaction with their students looks like. And so now I think they have a better understanding of how to do this on their own as we move forward.
In working with Trifera, anytime we receive anything new or anything innovative or transformative, they provide us that personalized professional learning that our teachers truly need. It's that job-embedded professional learning that helps to make that professional learning really relevant and timely, and our teachers can turn around right away and use that in their classrooms.
The professional development from Josh and Anna really, I think, just kind of jump-started, kick-started the thinking with our GT teachers and helped them view the work that they do with their students in a different way.
I have been working with Trifera for about the last 4 years, working with them with professional learning, and it's been a joy to work with the people from Trifera. The STEAM stops would not have happened without their creativity and them listening to us and them answering the need that we had for our district.
This is an example of what a partnership with Trifera can really look like. It's the right technology with the right support to create a bright future.
So I love that. I love our PD team, Josh, Anna, the whole team is just absolutely fantastic, and they have a deep passion for education and tons of amazing experience, which is also awesome as well. The last thing I want to leave you guys with is the Trifera Tech Planning Toolkit. And basically what this is it's just an opportunity to kind of meet and talk with myself, where we kind of go into all the different elements of your plan. What do you have currently? Where do you want to go? I give you some of the tools that I have seen work really, really well and be very effective. And we can really kind of leverage that to kind of get you on that strategic plan if you don't have one in place. I would love to meet with you. And if you'd like to connect, you can continue the conversation. Reach out to your rep if you have a relationship with a Trifera rep and just say, hey, I'd like to connect with Scott about this. You can also fill out the form by scanning this QR code with your form, or you can go to bit.ly/TTPT_follow-up. I will just toss this in that. And also Kate is going to toss in on the exit survey. You can say it there as well. That is all I have, Kate. I'm going to hand it off to you.
Well, thank you all so much for being here. If you are interested in talking to Scott, there is a question at the end of the survey that says that where you can kind of raise your hand, and Scott will reach out to you afterwards if you indicate that you're interested in talking to him. I also just wanted to take a second to let you know of some of the upcoming webinars we have. We have a lot coming up in March and April, so I just am gonna rattle some of them off. Next week, we're talking with Lenovo and Google about their connected tools for teaching and learning. That's going to be on the 14th at 1 p.m. On Tuesday, the 21st, I'm super excited. We're sitting down with Monica Burns from Class Tech Tips. We've had a number of webinars with her. She is amazing, and she's going to be talking with us about Google Workspace for Education, breaking down some of the enhanced versions of that for you. So if you're thinking about any of those versions or wondering what the tools are that you might not know about that could really change the way that you're either managing those systems or your teachers are using those tools, that's going to be an awesome session. The week after that, on the 28th, we are sitting down with Scott again. He's going to be talking about the tech director's 5 things to do between now and the end of the school year. That's going to be great. Kind of your 5 bullet checklist on what you need to get done before the end of the year. And then in April, on the 6th, we are doing another session like this. Scott is going to be diving deeper into making a sticky tech plan. That's on the 6th of April. Oh, losing my breath a little bit. I can see why you were coughing so much, Scott. Whew. And then on the 13th, Thursday, the 13th of April, we're going to be talking with our friends at LineWise about their tools for student wellness. So if you are interested in exploring any of their suite, especially the tools that they have that address kind of student well-being, mental health, social emotional learning, and things like that, we're going to be sitting down with them on the 13th. And if you forgot all of those already, you can always find our webinar series either in your email box. I know that's how a lot of you find us anyway, or we have an events page on our website. So trafera.com/events. You can find that there. So whew, I never talk that much on these calls. I'm winded, Scott. But thank you all so much for being here again. Oh, you know what? There was a question and I totally spaced it. This was a question.
You have one job, Kate.
Oh, I had one job. I know, that's horrible. Kathleen, this is from Kathleen. Let me find it. I gotta dig. She said, where are you? I can't find it. Okay, here it is. We are going to be switching to mobile 1-to-1 instead of carts in each classroom. Is there a good percentage number to plan for repairs we should plan for every year, since traveling means more wear and tear?
I like to say plan for 10 to 15% annually. That is high. I've seen higher, I've seen much lower. But if you can kind of have that cushion, you can kind of have that plan moving forward. And I think in my planning, that's kind of where my target would be.
Yeah, our tech team has collected some data on that too, and what they find is typically 6 to 12% of student devices are going to break every year. So somewhere in there.
Yep, for sure. And like I said, I like to give. I'm a little extra cautious with those things. But yeah, and like Amy just said, having great cases, having great partnership, having all those things are going to really help. I noticed a few people talking about they have like a 5% overage so that they could have in-house repairs. That's all fantastic. They're great ideas.
Yeah. And thank you everyone for talking so much in the chat. It's fun not only to have a presenter with tons of expertise, but hearing you guys sharing your expertise in the chat too is really fun this round. So
absolutely.
Thanks. I think everyone who is still around has probably taken that exit survey, so we can just say goodbye to y'all. I think we've already gotten overtime. So thank you all so much for being here. We will see you next week or whenever you decide to join us again.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, y'all.